Mondays with Mark Allen. Welcome back, everybody. You know, some of the most impactful moments in our lives aren't necessarily the ones where we achieve these great dreams or do something that is just amazing, but more those moments where we're going down and we're in a bad patch and we turn that around. Those can be some of the most impactful moments in our lives. But the question is, if things aren't going well, how do you turn them around? What happens when you're in those bad moments? What happens when you're challenged? You know, I would ask if you've been challenged, but I know you have. I know you've had that in races. You've had that in your life where things don't seem to be going your way. What takes place up here? I'll tell you what happens with me. Something's not going right. Maybe I'm in a race and somebody's ahead that I don't think I can catch, and I want to win, and then I start to whine. This is too hard, this is too tough, it's too hot, my legs are killing me, and I have those moments in my life in general. Maybe something in my life isn't working the way I hope in this moment, and I start to whine. Why is it so hard? I'm not in the mood to deal with this anymore. Whatever it is, I'm sure you've had those conversations with yourself, right? How do we get out of those? One way is to utter two very simple words. Shut up. There we go. Now your mind is quiet. Now you enter a state, you embrace what I call actually an emotion called surrender. When you surrender, it's not giving up. Surrender is when you accept the reality of something as it is without judgment. It's just something that has to be dealt with. There just hasn't come to you yet the solution that will carry you forward in the way that you envision. Shut up. You know how that is? You're whining, things aren't going well, all of that stuff, that fear that's coming up, negativity, negative self-talk, lack of self-confidence, all that stuff does not help you out, does it? And sometimes there's no solution yet, but that space of quiet can allow that solution to come. Your mind is quiet. You surrender to where things are at in this moment. It's not judging it. It's not saying this is good or it's bad. It's just something that has to be dealt with, something you have to keep going and moving through. And often when we do that, then the answers come. Here's one from my racing. In 1995, and a lot of you might have heard this story already, I was 13 and a half minutes behind Thomas Hellriegel starting the marathon. This was my hopefully going to be my sixth and final Ironman victory. This I knew would be my final Ironman. I get off the bike and I think I'm having the worst Ironman of my career. And certainly there were a few negative thoughts rolling around in my head. But I kept bringing it back to that place of quiet, 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 and just doing what I could to be my best each moment. And that's another question you can ask yourself. If you're not sure how to approach something, ask yourself, am I being the best version of myself in this moment that I can be? And if you find that you're whining, that's not the best version of yourself. If you are giving into fear or self-doubt, that is not the best version of yourself. When you're quiet, you don't need to have an answer in that moment. You can just be in that moment, giving everything you have. And that's what I did. I just was trying to chip away little by little by little on Thomas Hellriegel. I was 13 and a half minutes down in fifth place. Then I moved into fourth and third, eventually into second place around the half marathon. With 8 miles to go, I was 4 minutes behind Hellriegel, and it still seemed impossible to catch him. And I started whining again. He's too far ahead. The guy's 13 years younger than me. I shouldn't have come back for this last Ironman. Shut up. Whining does not help out, does it? I got my mind to be quiet. And then it was like the island was speaking, saying, just give it everything you have. That's the best that you can do. That's the best version of yourself that you can be if you give everything you have. If I'm whining, there's a part of me that can't do that. if we have that negative self-talk going on, there's a part of us that can't give everything we have in that moment. So I drew all my energy back in. I got my mind to be quiet once again. I looked around at the island and realized how amazing that island is, how beautiful that lava is. In that intensity, in that pressure of the race, I could still be grateful and thankful. That's when I started to make up real time on Thomas. I eventually caught him at mile 23. That's a whole nother story for another day. And I went on and won that 6th title. So this is Mondays with Mark Allen. Just a tip on how I deal with those moments where I need to shift change the channel. I need to shift the momentum. I need to get out of the space where my attitude is negative and get into one that first and foremost is quiet, where I surrender to the reality of where I'm at. I stop trying to change it and I start to deal with it, manage it, move through it, and then you might win an Ironman. Mondays with Mark Allen. We'll see you next week.